Let's jump into Act 1, Scene 3, and this is where Shakespeare introduces another host of characters. And this is going to be, it's kind of where these are called the clowns. Clowns are not just people who come out and say funny jokes. The jokes in here, or the comedy in here, is oftentimes a little bit troubling. It's more social satire, making kind of fun of the conventions that are going on in society. But yeah, it gets a little bit weird. Let's shrink ourselves up and get smaller. And here comes in Sir Toby and Maria. And Maria, you can probably figure out, is an allusion to Maria, the religious name. It's an illusion. She doesn't replicate anything, but it's just an illusion. And Maria says, "Aye, but you confine yourself within the modest limits of order." In other words, her uncle, she's talking to Olivia's uncle, is Sir Toby. And mind you, this gets a little bit, yeah, it gets a little bit weird, but it's kind of predictable. Toby is the uncle of a very wealthy niece. And what he's kind of doing is basically, yeah, I know the Duchess. Yeah, I do. He's using his connections to exploit some money from other people where he can. And he's not, bad intention, but he's certainly kind of indifferent to any kind of honesty or deeper morality. And he starts to exploit his position in his connection to his niece. Okay? And he says, I'll confine myself no finer than I am. These clothes are good enough to drink in. That's what he's about. And so be these boots too, and they be not, let them hang themselves in their own straps. Okay? Basically, back off. You're the servant, and I'm the uncle. Why he has 3,000 ducats a year. And this is when they bring in Sir Andrew Augencheek. And Toby says he has 3,000 ducats a year. In other words, he's a trust fund baby. He's just getting money handed to him because he comes from money. But he'll have but a year and all these ducats. He's a very fool and a prodigal. What you get a sense is that Toby is messing with Sir Andrew Augencheek. And you also get a sense that Olivia is quite the good-looking lady who has a lot of money. And Andrew, who's not too sharp, thinks he has a chance with her. And Sir Toby thinks he has a chance to exploit Andrew to get some money. That's what's going on here. It's kind of funny in its own way, but keep in mind that Toby wants the money. Andrew wants Olivia, but he doesn't have a chance, okay? And you would know that right away. Let's jump up ahead, okay? And the drinking and all that, and here comes Andrew and all this other stuff, and how, Sir Toby Belch, and they are acting like good buddies, and there's an age difference, and there's a lot of alcohol, okay? So you get that sense right from the beginning, and then you get this back and forth between Andrew and Maria. Wherefore, sweetheart, what's your metaphor? What's your game? Okay? It's dry, sir. Okay? In other words, that's her wit. She's just saying straight things. Why, I think so. I'm not such an ass, but I can keep my hand dry. But what's your jest? Okay? What game are you playing here? A dry jest, sir. In other words, I'm not playing games. I'm not impressed with you. Are you full of them? Aye, sir, I have them at my fingers' ends. Mary, now let go your hand. I'm barren. That is kind of a reference to, I'm past marrying age. So buzz off is what Maria's saying. Maria is really the most dignified element of the clowns. She tries to keep them in line, and she is much more intelligent. And I want to bring something up here about the characters within all of Shakespeare's comedies. Let me repeat that. Within all of Shakespeare's comedies, okay? In all of Shakespeare's comedies, the women play the more intelligent parts. They are more convincing, and you will tend to identify with them. Maria is a character who is very identifiable. She sees through things. It's not like she's the smartest kid in town, but she doesn't play games, and she knows what she's doing, okay? The other one at the other end are Sebastian and Viola. You get a sense and you will identify, reading the play, you will identify most with Viola and what she's going through. Sebastian comes in, but he's not a bad guy. He's not a great guy because he's just kind of a background character. Viola is the one who has the biggest struggle throughout the comedy. And this is a characteristic of Shakespeare's comedies, that there will always be a woman character, not a man character. His comedies are about a woman navigating the nuances of Renaissance culture that Shakespeare lived in and trying to get herself established and through her own agency get things done for herself. And this is an aspect of Shakespeare that is, again, all of his comedies. He has very strong women characters at the center of all of his comedies. Okay, so calling Shakespeare a feminist or assertive for women, yeah, most definitely. If there is something that comes across as sounding sexist, you probably, there's another layer going on. Okay, so let's get back to this. Going a little bit further, you get Maria kind of puts Andrew in his place and he kind of looks the buffoon, and Toby keeps sticking up for him because he's the source of money, not because Andrew is an impressive guy and people just don't understand him. He's the source of money for Toby to buy more drink. Okay, and then you get this Valentine Viola exchange, and this is, you know, when Viola is dressed up as Cesario. Okay, the audience knows, and again, I want to emphasize, this is a young boy or a boy, an older boy probably, let me get that straight, an older boy dressed up as a woman, dressed up as a man. Shakespeare's having fun with that, okay? Valentine says, if Duke continues these favors, and Valentine is working for Olivia, and by the way, VOOVVOO all over the place. That is confusion in the names. That's something Shakespeare wanted to do and does throughout. VOOO, it's purposely confusing. Okay, you go sit down. Okay. If the Duke continues these favors towards you, Cesario, you are like him to be much advanced. He hath known you, but okay, and I apologize. Valentine is one of Orsino's others servants. You are like to be much advanced. He hath known you but 3 days, and already you are no stranger. That's. Do you think Orsino can see through Viola's disguise as Cesario? Yeah, maybe. But Orsino's a little bit odd. Again, I want to emphasize, Orsino is ambiguous in his sexuality because he's putting on a show of being interested in Olivia. And then Viola shows up dressed as Cesario, and suddenly Cesario, Viola, is getting advanced within Orsino's court. Is that a little ambiguous? Yeah, I think it is. You either fear his humor or my negligence. In other words, you are either afraid of his mood or how he makes decisions, or you think I haven't been picking this up. That you call in question the continuance of his love. So in other words, he's got to love Olivia. Don't you see? Is he inconsistent, sir, in his favors? No, believe me, I thank you. This is Cesario starting to realize that this is part of the comedy, is that the misunderstanding is being emphasized. And then Orsino says this to Viola slash Cesario. Oh, then unfold. This is what he's telling Cesario, Viola, to tell Olivia. Getting confused yet? We're only in Act 1. Oh, then unfold the passion of my love, surprise her with discourse of my dear faith. It shall become thee well to act my woes. And he puts on a bad act, okay? And everybody can see through it. And Viola is sitting there as Cesario, who is also putting on an act. And he can see through his act. Can he see through her, his? You get it? There's a lot of deception going on both sides. You can tell that Orsino doesn't really mean this and that he's putting on a public display so that everybody can see his display, okay? but it sure as heck doesn't look very sincere. Okay, can Viola see through this? I think so. And Viola then recognizes, hey, he's kind of good looking. He's kind of got a nice car. That's what Viola starts thinking. Okay, but Viola is supposed to take the message to Olivia. Dear lad, believe it, for they shall yet belie thy happy years that say thou art a man. Happy years say that you're a man. Yeah, you're a man. Okay, can Orsino see through the costume yet? It's not clear. Saying that he doesn't is pretty sketchy when you get these plays on words. Thou say thou art a man. Huh? Does he see through it? It's not clear. It seems like he might, but it's not clear if he does. Diana is the goddess who turned in the Actaeon story, turned Actaeon into a stag. So Diana comes up again and again. Diana was the warrior goddess. And if you know anything about Athena, that's the Roman version of Athena. She was a warrior goddess, and you didn't want to mess, or excuse me, a goddess, not so much of war, but of nature, and you didn't want to mess around with her. Diana's lip is not more smooth and more rubious. He's pointing out that Cesario, you haven't any sign of a mustache, and you're a young man, huh? Yeah. And rubious thy small pipe. In other words, your voice. Orsino doesn't know. Is as the maiden's organ. You sound like a woman, shrill in sound. In all a semblance, woman's parts. You got the body of a woman. Yeah, but we'll not talk about that. Orsino just brings it up, and I'll do my best to woo your lady. I better get out of here. Yet a barful strife. Wooer I woo myself would be his wife. She says this off on an aside. She really likes Orsino. Really, hey, this guy, man, he's got a great car. And so she's interested in him. And why? Maybe she doesn't say it, but it seems that's the only real explanation. She's only just met him, and all he's doing is sending her off to go woo this lady. Is Viola after the money? Viola is a highly identifiable character, but is she after the money? It's not entirely clear, but then what else is motivating her? My lady will hang thee for thy absence. Okay, and this is when Festi the Fool comes in. With Festi, the puns are all over the place. If you have a dirty mind around, put it in your head, and you'll start to understand Festi and a lot of the other allusions and references. My lady will hang thee for thy absence. In other words, where have you been? This is the fool. In other words, he's a hired fool. His job is to make the lady laugh, okay? Make Olivia laugh at jokes about herself. And so they could make jokes about anything. But then watch where he goes with this. You're in big trouble with the lady. Let her hang me. He that is well hanged in this world needs fear no colors. If you know of that thing about being well hung, yeah, that was going on in the Renaissance, that kind of talk about men. And then he says this, in case you doubt it and think I'm the only one in the room with a dirty mind. Many a good hanging prevents a bad marriage. I'm not going to explain that. I will let you explain that with your own mind, okay? And for turning away, let summer bear it out, okay? And so those are the kind of dirty allusions within the play. They're all over the place. Just be aware, if you think something's a dirty joke, yeah, and you probably missed 3 of them already, okay? There's a ton of them in Shakespeare. And then you get this, okay? You get this little back and forth. Take the fool away. In other words, get this Festi guy out of here. And Festi says, and his name would have been Festi, even though he's referred to as the fool. Do you not hear, fellows? Take away the lady. He turns it around on her. What he exposes again and again is the irony in the circumstances. And then on line 52 of this act, or excuse me, of this scene, he says misprision. This is an extremely important Shakespearean word. This means misunderstanding things and acting on the misunderstanding. The misunderstanding is understood by one party or another and creates, boy, it creates the whole play. It's a very important word in Shakespeare. It's the misunderstanding of situations, and it's very forceful within this play. Watch when you get to any scene and consider not just what's happening, but what's misunderstood, what they think is going on, and what's really going on. If you've ever seen like a Seinfeld thing, Seinfeld basically took this technique out of Shakespeare and ran it into his own comedies. The misunderstanding of this situation or that is really what this play is about. Okay, shrink yourself up. You go away. And he throws a little Latin out there. This basically says you can't become a monk if whatever. Nothing really there. Good morning, my Donna. Why mournst thou? A good fool, for my brother's death. This is Olivia, where he's talking to Olivia. Good fool for my brother's death. I think his soul is in hell, Madonna. I know his soul is in heaven. That is a really mean thing to say to somebody who just lost their brother. But watch what he does. Okay, you go. I know his soul is in heaven, fool. And that's going to make her a little bit angry. The more fool, Madonna, to mourn for your brother's soul being in heaven. Take away the fool, gentlemen. Okay, that's his job. He's doing his job. Okay, and in other contexts, he will keep doing that kind of thing, but it's not really his job. But he'll keep doing it to character after character and exposing things through ironies, through jokes, and they're not really funny the way like a TV show would be, but they're just like TV shows are funny. But anyway, they expose ironies, things that are simultaneously true. To mourn somebody being in heaven is ridiculous, but that's what people do, and that's what she's doing, and therefore she's a fool. Malvolio then steps in. Again, watch Malvolio. He is an absolutely fascinating character. If you see him as a bad guy and just dismiss him, you misunderstand him. Okay, you entirely misunderstand him. He is somewhat opposed to Maria. He is humorless in a very real sense, but he is very loyal to Olivia and always defends her position throughout the play. He is not a simple bad guy. If you take him that way, you will miss him. Okay, so stick with me because I'm going to be pointing out how he's a bad guy all along. But keep that in mind on him. Yes, and shall do the till the pangs of death shake him. Infirmary that decay the wise doth ever make the better fool. In other words, he's getting that Festi guy is getting really old. What you get is this tension between Malvolio and Festi that is quite odd. Okay, Malvolio becomes the pain in the rear end for all of the other clowns. Okay, and they're going to go at him. He becomes the target of their, well, we'll get to that in a bit. And this is Maria and Olivia. And Maria is a bit of a challenge to Malvolio's position in connection to Olivia. That's how Malvolio perceives it. Because Maria does as Olivia tells her to throughout. But so does Malvolio. Malvolio makes a bigger show of it. Okay, so they're kind of rivals for Olivia's attention. Kind of. And Festi brings him down at every turn. So no matter. Madam, there is at your gate a young gentleman much desires to speak with you. From Count Orsino, is it? I know not, madam, 'tis a fair young man. That's Cesario / Viola. Okay. And well attended. In other words, he's got some other people with him. Okay. And you get the back and forth. And this is the, Orsino sending Cesario there. And he won't leave. Okay. And this is Toby and the fool. And you get a sense that they're all kind of getting along. And the one person they don't really have in their gang of friends is Malvolio. Okay. And so they're kind of gossiping about what's going on and how Olivia's got this suitor and they're gossiping and they're just getting along with each other. Okay. Malvolio says, um, Olivia says, I've had enough. I don't have time for it right now. And he has been told. So he says he'll stand at your door like a sheriff's post and the supporter to the bench, but he'll speak with you. What kind of man is he? Why? Of mankind. What manner of man? A very ill manner. He'll speak with you, will or no. And again, will, Shakespeare, okay. His insistence on speaking with her, and it's not going to go away, okay. He is insisting on doing the work that she is insisting, or he is insisting on doing the work that Orsino is kind of, she's going to get the job done. Of what parentage of years, not old enough for a man, nor young enough for a boy. As a squash is before a peas cod, and coddling is before an apple. Okay, and so it's a young man, is what he's describing. And give me my veil, come throw it over my face. That's that withholding. What a veil does, as I've mentioned, is it reveals, but it withholds. It puts something in the way. It tells you something's there, but it doesn't let you grasp it. That's the nature of seduction. And notice that she started off with, get him out of here. And when she finds out it's a young man, she goes, give me my veil. It tells you a little bit, it kind of hints at maybe something Olivia might, we don't really know, but she says, get me my veil. Basically, get me my feather fan so I can put on my show. And then you get this back and forth where Viola is basically saying, Orsino really likes you and thinks you're a great guy or great gal. And she says, and she is dressed up as Cesario. Know my profound heart. And yet by the very fang of malice, I swear I am not that I play. Notice the double meaning in this. I am not that I play. There's all these different layers going on. I'm not whom I seem to be. I'm speaking for Orsino. I'm not really Cesario. I'm Viola. And there is this odd kind of tension in this back and forth. And the question is, can Olivia see underneath the Cesario costume and see that it's a woman under there? And that hints at maybe she might be lesbian. Maybe. Hints at it. It's undeniably hinted at. It's not explicitly stated. And that's the nature of this play. Things are always hinted at over and over again. And there's all this misprision going on. Okay? And then they go on and on. And you get the back and forth between Viola. And Viola then says, good madam, let me see your face. In other words, take the veil away. Have you any commission from your lord to negotiate with my face? You are now out of your text. In other words, you're stepping out of your place, young man. Really pretty young man. But we shall draw the curtain and show you the picture. I will show you. Look you, sir, this is something she didn't. What the heck is she doing? Okay. Look you, sir, such a one, I was this present, is not well done. And this is hilarious. Aren't I a pretty gal? You get Olivia acting really Kardashian right here. She really thinks something. And she is really trying to impress this young Cesario / Viola. Can she see through the costume? And this is her trying to make herself look as attractive as possible. Because she is a stunning woman. And you get kind of what's going on here. This is a little bit odd. Okay, let's go back in. And excellently done, sir, if God did all. That is so misunderstood by most people. That is if God did all. Most people today might think, oh, she's had some plastic surgery. Not in Shakespeare's day, okay? If God did all, what's the other possibility? Well, the devil may have put her together. In other words, to seduce her and make her kind of seduct, kind of mislead, and lead you into temptation kind of thing. And so that's what Cesario / Viola is saying about Olivia. Is that really beauty and harmony that I'm seeing, that this is God's work, in other words, this is good, or is there a seductive element to it? Okay, and I'll leave it there to wrap it up, and that will mostly get you through Act 1, get you into the tensions, but I really want to emphasize the misprision throughout. The misunderstandings drives the plot. Misunderstanding and trying to work it out, and people are chasing things that they thought were there. Good luck with this, okay? Take care, guys.